All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today is Friday, September 23rd. Already a Friday. We've got a big game tomorrow night, prime time on Fox. Looking forward to it. Hopefully OU blows them out. I don't know, by 21, 28 points. If you hadn't already, be sure to check out our video from Wednesday. We discussed a previewing the game of OU Kansas State and where we could see on both sides of the ball. Be sure to go check that video out now. But today's video, we're going to be talking recruiting. There's going to actually be a lot of visitors this weekend, big time visitors, some from the 23 class, some from the 24 class, and even some from the 25 class. It's hard to believe that already we're moving on to starting to recruit and get guys in the 2025 class involved. It feels like forever away, but I remember when the 2023 class felt like forever away. And then here we are, we're about to close out the 23 class. So we've got a lot of recruiting talk today. We're going to also talk about our bets. I think Jose's got about 18 bets that he wants to talk about today. He's going to try to rack up as many wins as possible. And we'll give an update from there. And, that's pretty much our show. So I know a lot of recruiting talk and a lot of people are going to be enjoying that. So before we get into it, just want to say appreciate it. We're like 10 subscribers away from 5,100 as we're recording this right now. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, helps us out. And if you've already been subscribed, we appreciate that, but hit the like on this video and comment, stay around for Jose's in the video challenge. When you like and comment and you're already subscribed, it helps the channel out tremendously. Be sure to turn the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and Apple and Spotify. Everything's linked in the description below. If you're on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave us a review on there. Helps us on those platforms as well. And we will also be going live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central, for our pregame show. Granted, I know, OU doesn't play till late in the evening, but we're going to be talking some general college football. We're going to be previewing the OU game before anything kicks off. It'll be about 9 to 10 a.m., maybe 10:15, depending on how many people show up. So be sure to turn the notification bell on so you know when we go live and you can join us and ask questions and hang out with us Saturday morning. All right, so we'll talk recruiting first. Kansas State, luckily with OU getting the late evening kickoff, it's allowing a lot of kids to be able to come and visit after their games on Friday night, or, if they have a game Thursday night. One of the guys that will be coming on campus is someone that we've talked about tremendously, or a lot, is Ryan Yates. Ryan Yates, he's from Geyer High School in Denton, Texas, 2023 four-star safety, number 215 overall, and the number 14 safety in the class. He is supposed to be coming up with his parents this weekend to meet Oklahoma and their staff. I know Ryan Yates has been coming up with Peyton Bowen and Eli Bowen and his family and Jackson Arnold and whatnot, but his parents are finally getting involved in this. And I think with them getting involved, and they just came off of a visit to LSU where he's currently committed. And yet, since they're coming off that visit, they are still making the trip up to Norman. I feel like that's a big indication because if they were sold on LSU, I think that would have sold them if they were sold. They're obviously still thinking and still considering in the fact that his parents are willing to take the trip up to Norman. I think that says a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And the big thing for me is that his parents are coming up. I'm not sure if it's just been Yates and the boys, Bowen, both the Bowens and Jackson, or if their parents have been on every single trip with him. I'm assuming since it's both parents this time, maybe both of them haven't been up there with him. But I think it's definitely pointing in the right direction. Like you said, if he was that secure in LSU, I don't think that mom and dad would really entertain going with him very much. They'd probably just be like, if you want to go, feel free to go with your friends if they trust him to go up that high, just like any other parent would. But yeah, I think it's going to be a big weekend. And the fact that it's a night game is helping us. Hopefully we have a lot more of these because the 2023 and 2024 class could be very loaded, especially if those kids can come more often than they have in the last few years.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people were watching the live stream of OU Insider on Wednesday night, but basically Parker Thune and Brandon Drum basically said that this is the weekend, and I'm paraphrasing here, is this they're expecting that he very well might flip after this weekend. Not 100%. It's hard. If you're still committed, it's harder than getting a guy that's uncommitted to commit to you, because you got to go tell another coaching staff that you're not going to go play for him and all that other stuff. But I just feel like with Jackson Arnold being there, he's made tons of trips to Oklahoma. He's bringing his family up, and Oklahoma needs safety depth. I mean, recruiting at the safety position is one of the top priorities in this 23 class that Brandon Hall and the defensive staff have been doing. I am not going to say that he is 100% going to flip, because crazier things have happened. But I will say I do expect Ryan Yates to be a part of this class, whether he flips in a week or two. But I think he's going to have to flip here within the next month, because the staff is probably going to get to the point where they're going to have to know one way or another. Otherwise, they're going somewhere else.
I mean, same story with Peyton Bowen, right? We talked about Peyton for like a year now. It feels like, maybe a little less, but it feels like an eternity every time we mention Peyton Bowen's name and Ryan Yates. But I feel like the Bowen saga has been a little bit more. I can't find the word for it, but up and down roller coaster, like, because they both have visited a ton, and there's always been a feeling that Peyton is going to flip, but it never happens. I think this is really the first time where with Yates, it's been like, all right, there's a good chance this is the weekend. Maybe there's been one weekend before, but it seems like every time Peyton Bowen's name comes up, there's always a report that there's a good chance that's the weekend. So hopefully it's right with Peyton or with Ryan. He'd be a big addition, rating wise, talent wise, based, just looking at the projections from all the recruiting platforms. Not as talented as Peyton, but they play together, so they learn from each other, and I'm sure Ryan can bring in a lot from his experience playing that Geyer with Peyton Bowen. He'll be a great addition. I don't know if he'd be impact year one, but he'll be a good player to have on the team once he makes past his freshman year.
And I think Peyton Bowen, and I've said this, is a take no matter what point in this recruiting cycle he decides he wants to be a Sooner. I'm not so sure about Ryan Yates. Part of me thinks he is a take no matter what, just because of the lack of depth there. If you have a 4-star top 250 player that wants to come play for you, and that's one of your thinnest positions, I feel like he's hard to turn away. But the staff will have to start pressing other recruits by mid-October if you want a chance for someone to sign with you in February. So I'm hoping it happens. Especially, it'll be nice to see after losing out on Jordan Renaud. It would be nice to get this win under the staff's belt. Not that there have been many losses in this 23 class. So something we'll be watching. And again, just a little note, Peyton Bowen most likely, and his brother Eli Bowen most likely will be at the game. There's not 100% sure that he's showing up. Maybe not. I think he shows up. And if he shows up to Norman instead of the A&M Arkansas game this weekend, that's in his backyard, being from Denton, it's pretty indicative that I think he's going to be leaning towards Oklahoma. So if you see Peyton Bowen show up, that's going to make me feel really good about where Oklahoma sits with him. But again, I felt good about Peyton Bowen. I felt bad about Peyton Bowen. It's just, I don't know. At some point, he's going to have to make the decision. And I know Billy Bowman's cornering him. His girlfriend's pushing him. The staff's pushing him. At some point, Jackson Arnold's pushing him. At some point,
Ryan,
you're going to have to do it.
Ryan Yates has been pushing his buttons even before this weekend. Like over the summer, they would, interact on social media with fans, and Ryan was always giving Peyton Bowen a hard time about how he was decommitting from Notre Dame and flipping to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I remember that. Some of those live streams, Instagram lives or whatever, Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I feel like he's going to have to make the decision. So enough of talk about safeties as far as the 2023 class. We'll move on to another guy, and I don't know if we've ever talked about him on this show. He's relatively new as far as getting an Oklahoma offer. Is Xavier Filisimi, and I might be saying that wrong. He's 6'1", 180-pound wide receiver from McKinney, Texas. He's a 2024 4-star guy. His stats, his last year's stats, 35 catches, 463 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He earned his offer from Oklahoma on July 27th, which he went up to Norman, camped, worked out, and earned his offer and tweeted it out that evening. And he is coming back for the weekend. He's coming up for a visit. I'm not saying that he's going to be committing because, I think I'm under the impression that the earliest commitment that Oklahoma will get for the 24 class is most likely like in November. I think that, this North Texas, McKinney's North Texas, that's not very far from Norman. I think OU is really trying to recruit that North Texas region and Dallas-Fort Worth region hard. And I think he'd be a big addition to this 24 class. I need more good wide receiver depth. What do you think?
Never bad to have more weapons, especially for a quarterback in Jackson Arnold that I think everyone believes is one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best players in his class, and could be a guy that can make an immediate impact once he gets to Oklahoma. So he's definitely going to be happy to have more guys to throw the ball to. I wonder if, because like you said, it seems like the recruitment of him has gotten it's starting to gain some speed. So I wonder if the coaches are preparing for someone to transfer once a window opens or leave for the NFL. We have 2 guys that are probably leaving, that are more than likely to leave, with Theo Weiss and Marvin Mims at the end of the year. So you got a backload with, younger talent to come in and try to compete for those spots that are going to open up.
Definitely. Someone that we haven't really looked at a bunch of film on or really watched play, but he's someone that's on OU's radar, obviously. He's interested in Oklahoma and someone that we're going to have to get to know pretty well. And he's coming up for another visit, which is always good. So someone we're definitely going to be watching. And I want to mention that David Hicks, we talked about him potentially coming up this weekend. It's ended up he won't be able to make it. I don't think he's going to go to the A&M Arkansas game, which is good. That one would be in Arlington, so it's still a couple hour drive for him. I don't think he's going to be visiting for a couple weekends, and I know he'll be at the OU Texas game because Oklahoma's a home team and they can host. I still feel really good about David Hicks. I think also that Texas A&M is about to go. They're already off to a rough start. But have you taken a look at what their what their schedule is?
No, but I am sure that it's not going to be easy going into SEC play.
So they open up this weekend against Arkansas. They get an easy game against Mississippi State. Whether they beat them or not, that could be debatable. Then they play Alabama, South Carolina, and then Ole Miss, and then Florida. I see a minimum of 2 losses through there.
Yeah. Florida and South Carolina might be the only ones, but they could be close games because A&M's offense is really the biggest issue with that team. Not that their defenses look stellar either, but the offense is not helping out.
Yeah. So I think that, I'm obviously going to be pulling for the Hogs this weekend, but I think a minimum, best case scenario, Texas A&M goes 4-2 through there. They're going to end up, starting off the year, what are they going to be? 6-3, maybe?
They're going to be 8-4 team. They're going to be the Dallas Cowboys of college football, hyped up every single year, overranked, way further than they need to be every single offseason. And then people are, for some reason, surprised that they stink or are an average half team.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's funny. And I think if they drop a couple more games, that's going to play in OU's favor for Peyton Bowen and David Hicks. There's no way that you can have all that talent on your roster and not get get some heat for it. So obviously, I think we'll all be pulling for Arkansas to beat up on A&M this weekend, but it's a rivalry game, so you never know where that's going to go. All right, so there's more recruits coming. And we're going to be looking more towards the 24 and 2025 classes. So Oklahoma is planning to host 4 of the top 10 players out of the state of California in the 2025 class. 4 of the top 10 players are coming this weekend in the 2025 class. Granted, that's sophomore, current sophomores right now. And I find it funny that this many kids are coming out this weekend and they're from California because, obviously someone out west thinks that he's going to be able to build a wall around California and not let anyone, top players leave. Obviously, these kids are interested in potentially leaving because they wouldn't make the trip if they weren't. And also, Oklahoma's going to be hosting one of the top defensive linemen in the 2024 class, which I feel like it's a plethora of talent in that 2024 class that Oklahoma's going after. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about him individually. Is Aiden Breland. He's 6'5", 290 pounds. He plays at Mater Dei High School. And that's the other thing is Oklahoma's hosting a couple kids from Mater Dei, which is one of the top high school football programs in the country. He's a 2024 4-star, number 65 overall, and the number 7 defensive lineman in the class. He's the number 7 player in the state of California. He's extremely talented, highly recruited, holds a ton of offers. Obviously, Alabama has offered him, but he's making the trip out. And he currently does not hold an offer from Oklahoma because, how Brent Venables and the staff does. They typically will only offer you once you make a visit. And I would imagine you're going to be seeing him tweet out, hearing an offer. What do you think about Breland? And maybe not so much about him individually, but just the fact that a kid is coming from California that doesn't have an offer from Oklahoma and wants an offer from Oklahoma when he could just go play for USC if he really wanted to.
Yeah, I think that answers the question that we all had when Matt Wells was first brought onto the staff. And that's his position is to have to create these relationships with these high schools. And we don't know the full logistics of it, but I would put some money on the fact that he was probably the guy that coordinated all these players to come. And the fact that they're not just any players, but very talented players that, are competing at a high level says something. And they're all at least wanting to look at the opportunity of playing at Oklahoma for Brent Venables. And I'm sure the performances through the beginning of the season here have helped plenty. To talk about quickly that point that you brought up, some people feel like Lincoln is going to build a wall around California for those recruits. That's just unrealistic. USC historically, I don't know the rankings off the top of my head right now. They never really had an issue with recruiting, especially in their own state. They've just had an issue with actually putting it together on the field. Who knows? Maybe Lincoln can help them out. Their recruiting really hasn't been great for the 2023 class, but they're going to get their California guys, and a lot of them are going to leave the state of California. There's better opportunities in the SEC, pretty much every SEC school in the Big Ten. Like, we're going to start seeing a lot of those California players make the trips to the southern states once the high school season is over. To talk about Aiden, I think it's big time. I think there's something to look at there because we're already targeting a lot of the top defensive linemen in that 2024 class. David Stone, Nigel Smith, Colin Simmons, I believe his name, from Duncanville. We're targeting T.A. Cunningham, which hopefully his situation can be figured out soon. I feel bad for that guy. We're targeting pretty much every single top D lineman, and clearly there's some interest there from him, given the fact that he's making the trip. It is that Mater Dei's bye week when I looked up their schedule, so he could, if he didn't want to look at the possibility of playing at Oklahoma, he could have just stayed home, chilled with his friends, chilled with his family, and gone about his weekend and moved on to his next high school game.
For sure. And this is also not to talk more about Jordan Renaud, but this is why I always felt whenever Oklahoma was recruiting Renaud that if Oklahoma lost out to Alabama for him, it's not the end of the world. You look at the defensive line that potentially with David Hicks and Derek LeBlanc, and then you've got PJ Adebore off the edge, Colton Vosick. I mean, all those guys. And then the ceiling is even higher in the 2024 class. I mean, Oklahoma's in a great spot. Nigel Smith is coming up this weekend. He's a top 100 player, defensive lineman out of Melissa, Texas. He's going to be here, 2024 4-star, 5-star, depending on where you look. And Oklahoma's in a great spot for Nigel Smith. I mean, you look around this defensive line grouping in the 2024 class, could be the best defensive line recruiting class in the country. And it's not very far-fetched to make that happen. And arguably Oklahoma, with adding David Hicks, could very well have one of the best and top 3 or 4 defensive lineman hauls in the country. So never been really concerned about that. And with the 2024 guys, anytime you can get a kid to come visit you to earn an offer, it says something.
And Marcus Steele is still out there for the 23 class that Oklahoma could get on.
He is, and Caden McDonald. Caden McDonald's got an official visit coming up. So, could OU flip him? Maybe. It might be a little bit of an uphill battle going against Clemson. Basically, Clemson and Oklahoma are duking it out for him. And obviously, it's 2 of the similar type programs. A couple of the 2025 guys to talk about. Jaden Hudson's going to be on campus. He's from Pittsburgh, California, 2025 4-star. He's the number 3 safety in the class, number 18 overall. So he most likely will end up being a potential 5-star once more ratings come out. Another guy, Nazir Wyatt. He's also from Mater Dei, 2025 5-star, number 32 overall, and the number 5 edge player in the country. He's already 6'2", 210 pounds as a sophomore, which is, I don't know. I can't even wrap my mind around that. And then Philip Bell, he's from Sacramento, California, 2025 4-star, number 35 overall, and the number 9 wide receiver in the class. And that's just a couple of the guys. I know that there's going to be more there this weekend. They're making the trip out from California, and anytime you can get a big group like that, feels good. So I'd be definitely watching Twitter, and you need to follow us on Twitter because we'll be tweeting it out, watching for some of these kids potentially earning some offers. And I'm sure that's why that they all want to see the campus, but they also want to all probably receive an offer from Oklahoma. And I'd imagine most of these kids are top end of their class. They're making the trip out. I would imagine most, if not all, get an offer this weekend. But
yeah, they're in a way I see these initial visits as kind of feel out sessions. Coaches are trying to figure out if just from first impression, the kid's personality is going to be a fit with the culture they're trying to build. And the kid themselves wants to see if they feel like they're going to fit in at Oklahoma. So both have to make good impressions. Like you said, they're both, all the guys that are going to visit are towards the top end of their classes. It'd be surprising if they don't all get offers, but if they don't, it just maybe not a good fit for the player and the coaches.
Yep. So that's just a little preview. Obviously you look around, a lot of 4-stars, a lot of 5-stars, whether in the 2023, 2024, 2025 classes, top end players all over the place coming up, all unofficially this weekend. So no official visitors. These are all kids that are coming on their own dime or, one way or another, not on the university's dime. So that screams impressive, and kids want to come play for Oklahoma. And I don't really remember a lot of recruiting weekends like this when it wasn't heavily, like official visits weren't heavily used last season. Just kind of an observation. I don't really remember this much talent just coming because they want to. So something that we're definitely going to be watching, tweet now, have probably a recap on Monday or Wednesday of next week to talk about. Hopefully Ryan Yates moves closer to a commitment, but can't hold your breath, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. So you have any thoughts before we move on to the picking the bets? Do you have all 18 ready?
I think I have them all. I just got to write them down as we go along.
All right. So to update the record overall, I'm 14-10. Jose, you are
13-13.
13-13. Okay, I thought so. So 13-13. I'm 14-10. I will give you the floor to pick the first one that you have.
So I've got 8 bets this week, and we'll alternate like we do every week. If you guys want to join in on the betting with us, The link is down below in the description to join the BetUS platform. Go on there. I believe they're doing a deposit match or a 50% deposit match. They will help you out. Use that link. It helps us out if you do. You can join us on our bets. You can fade us. Maybe follow Brum. He has been a little hotter than I have, but we're both doing well so far. So let's kick it off. My first game, I have Georgia minus 44.5. They're playing Kent State. It's at home. Georgia has been proving that they are the best team in the country. I just don't think Kent State, even though Kent State did score on Oklahoma a little bit, I don't think that the Georgia defense is going to allow probably not even 14 points, and the Georgia offense is going to have their way. Brock Bowers is an absolute beast. Bennett looks like he could actually be in New York at the end of the year with his performances, so Georgia should definitely run him out of the stadium.
They probably should, and they probably will. I always get a little weirded out taking those massive favorites just because of a garbage time touchdown could ruin it for you. But I mean, in theory, they should beat them by 50 or 60. So my first bet, and we'll just get into the OU K-State game. I got OU minus 13. I think Oklahoma, whatever the line is right now, the last time I checked was 13. I think Oklahoma by 21. I just don't think State is going to be able to move the ball. Granted, this will be the best defense, as you talked about on our preview. This will be the best defense that Oklahoma has seen. They've got great corners. They've got a great defensive line. But I think this offensive line is ready to take the next step, open up some holes, let our running game take over. And I think Dylan Gabriel will take that next step as this offense is evolving. And I think OU wins comfortably. And I think it's similar to the OU Nebraska game. There's no reason why this game should be close.
Did you say you found the line at 13.5?
I thought it was 13.
Okay.
Let me double check.
I got him at 12.5, but I'll take 13.5 for the sake of our betting here on the show. I agree with you. I just don't think the Kansas State offense will be able to move the ball. Oklahoma, I think Dylan Gabriel's been playing way too clean. I would expect him to continue what he's done. Doesn't have to be, throwing for 400 yards, 250, couple touchdowns, 2 or 3 touchdowns or interceptions. Let the running game, tire out the Kansas State defense and win the game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is 12.5. I didn't even check. I saw it a day or two ago and I thought it was the same. So it's 12.5. So we're both taking OU minus 12.5 for our bets here. My second one is going to be TCU SMU. I like the Horned Frogs -2 for them to pull out the win, basically the money line, since, it's hard to win by less than 2 points. Granted, they're going to be going on the road, but it's Dallas, Fort Worth area. It's the same thing. Tanner Mordecai is still the quarterback for SMU, and he's slinging the ball over the place, and I get that. I just think that Sonny Dykes is going to have his guys ready. He wants to probably end up taking the victory from, against SMU. I think Duggan will be playing well, and I think TCU ultimately wins this. It's going to be a close game. I think TCU wins by a field goal, so 3 points. So I'm going to be sweating this one out.
I think that could potentially be a trap game for TCU because they do have Oklahoma next, and Sonny Dykes might be in the staff, and maybe even the players might be looking ahead to the big guy ahead of them. But to my next bet, I told you guys this when we started, or after, I think it was after week 1, might have been even since week 1. I will always take the Iowa under. I don't care what the points are. It could be 15. Probably still take the under because Iowa can't fucking score the ball. So I'm going to it's Iowa at Rutgers under 33.5.
All right. Wait, under 33.5 total?
Yeah.
That's the total is 33.5?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I actually saw an article earlier this week that this game was tracking to be one of the lowest total score betting lines in recent memory.
Rutgers is a team that can give people problems, and Iowa is looking for problems. I don't think they want to score the ball.
Yeah. So, all right, my next bet, and this one is kind of a head scratcher to me, and maybe, Vegas knows more than me, obviously. That's why they're in business and they know what they're talking about. I think it's absolutely insane. So Baylor, Iowa State. I am taking Baylor plus 2.5. Granted, they're on the road at Iowa State, and I understand that Iowa State's 3-0. But BYU was Baylor's only loss in double overtime, and I know BYU looked bad against Oregon, but Oregon's not as bad as we all thought after the Georgia game. I think Baylor goes in. I think they win it outright. I just don't believe in Iowa State being a legitimate squad. I mean, yeah, Hutchinson's good. Their wide receiver's really good. I just think Baylor's defense is going to be able to slow Iowa State down. And I don't know. I'm just not buying Iowa State. And I know they're only giving up 9 points a game. And I get it, but they also played Southeast Missouri State. They played Iowa, which Iowa doesn't know how to play offense. And then they played Ohio. So it's not like Iowa State's been playing quality opponents. I just think Baylor goes up there, wins the game. And I think it's close, but I just think that they pull it out by 4 or 5 points.
All right. So my next one is, you already said did you say your Arkansas bet already?
I'm not betting on that game.
Oh, you're not? All right. So I am. I'm going to take Arkansas plus 2.5. Honestly, I considered taking money line, but since it's a rivalry game, it could be very close. So I'm just going to take the points. I think Arkansas is just, their offense is better. They do what A&M can't stop, which is run the ball, keep possession, and A&M's offense has not proven that they can be a high-scoring team, and Arkansas's defense is good enough. Drew Sanders gonna have a day, going to give nightmares to whoever the quarterback is. If it's still Max Johnson, I think Arkansas is gonna come in and roll A&M at Jerry's World.
I hope so. Because that does wonders for OU on the recruiting trail. Definitely one of the better games of the weekend. My next one is going to be Clemson, Wake Forest. It's a top 25 matchup. Clemson's currently sitting at a 7-point favorite. I'm taking Clemson -7. I understand that it's a trendy pick to take Wake Forest +7. It's on the road at Wake. Hartman is playing. He's playing well. I know that DJ Uiagalelei hasn't looked his best, and that Clemson offense has not looked their best. That Clemson defense is for real. That defensive line is a problem, and I just don't think Wake is built, and they don't have the athletes to handle Clemson. And I just think that Clemson can absolutely dominate when they need to, and they're going to have their guys ready. I just think that this is a pick where people are like, Clemson's not very good. Clemson's not very good. And then we're going to watch this game, and I think people are going to be like, wow, Clemson is really good. And I might look like an idiot, but I really think Clemson is a lot better than what they've been showing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're crazy. The only reason I'm staying away from the game is because I haven't watched much of Wake Forest. I really haven't watched any, especially since their quarterback is back, and they did beat Clemson last year. We'll see. But my next game, Alabama -40.5. Pretty much going to take them every single time. The only time they failed me was against Texas at Texas. We're just going to roll with it. I think they're let me check who they're playing real quick. They are playing Vanderbilt at home. We're fine. They're probably going to score 60.
Probably. So my next bet is going to be the Texas Tech game. I am going to take Texas -7. I learned my lesson last weekend. I thought that UTSA could come in and beat them, or not beat them, but at least, I did say they're on upset alert. I take that back. But I at least thought that to be able to cover the 12 points. Texas is a 7-point favorite. I'm going to take Texas -7. I think between Bijan Robinson and the Texas defense, I just was not impressed with Texas Tech playing against NC State. I just don't know if Texas Tech is what they showed to be somewhat good. I think I picked them to be like the ninth place in the Big 12 in the preseason rankings. And I think we're going to realize that that's the true Texas Tech. And I think we're going to see Texas beat them comfortably.
Yep. Next one for me is Utah at Arizona State. Arizona State is a dumpster fire. Utah's offense can score. It's at Arizona State. I mean, I'm in Arizona. I'm in Phoenix. I've never actually seen there be traffic towards Tempe. I don't know if people even know ASU has a football team. So I don't really expect it to be much of a home field advantage there for them.
I'd imagine it isn't. And they are a dumpster fire for sure. My last pick, and I only had 6 this week. I know you had one more or 2 more than me. Actually, I'm gonna add another one on this game. Minnesota, Michigan State. Michigan State is at home, and they are a dog, a 3-point dog. I'm taking Michigan State plus 3 points, and I'm taking Michigan State on the money line. And what I'm seeing right now is plus 126. I understand they got punched in the mouth and they look bad against Washington. But Michael Penix Jr., I don't know if people remember him at Indiana whenever he was good. And he's a good quarterback. I think Michigan State comes home and beats up on Minnesota. I think Mel Tucker's going to have the guys ready to roll. Tanner Morgan hasn't looked great so far. I just think that Michigan State people are overreacting. So I'm taking them in the money line. And also remember, Minnesota has played New Mexico State, Western Illinois, and Colorado. Colorado, honestly, could arguably be the next Kansas. That's one of the worst Power 5 school football teams in the country, and Colorado is up there. So arguably they've played nobody. I'm not buying Minnesota at all. I think the fact that you're getting 3 points with Michigan State at home, I think it's a no-brainer.
Agreed. I'm not going to take it just because I'm not really too sure. Mo Ibrahim's good. I don't know how the running game, the defense is, all that stuff, but I like the pick. My next one here is James Madison versus App State. James Madison, I believe right now, has the number 1 offense in the country. App State, really outside of the A&M game, hasn't shown that they can stop people from scoring. And again, A&M has almost an anemic offense. Really, do they want to show up today or not? I just think James Madison is I think they're going to win. I don't remember the spread on there, but I have them on with the money line. They are the underdogs right now. I believe it is at App State. I just believe that James Madison's going to pour in way too many points for App State to be able to come back and beat them. Did you have another one?
No, that's all for me.
My last one is Duke at Kansas. Kansas, for like the first time in 3 years, I think, has sold out their football game. So shout out to them. 3-0 right now. Both teams are 3-0. Duke, also bad defense. Don't know too much about their offense, but I know their defense is not great. Kansas, a very high-scoring offense. It's at home. There is going to be some sort of home field advantage. It's going to be a filled-out stadium. I think Kansas beats them by at least 10 points.
And I looked up, JMU is a 7-point underdog against App State. So
yeah, money line. I think that's the play.
And it's plus 222. So it's a pretty good money line payout for JMU. If Kansas wins this weekend, they better be top 25. That's all I got to say.
They have one of the best offenses in the country, statistically.
Yeah, but we'll see. So we'll see how this weekend works. Maybe we go undefeated. I actually ended up with 7 bets because I made one on the fly. Jose, how many did you have? Did you have 8?
8, I believe.
8. We'll see. I mean, maybe Jose goes 8-0. He might be sitting pretty at the end of the week, or maybe I go perfect, or maybe we all just go 0 for 7, 0 for 8. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would not be fun. So I hope that's not right. But who knows? It's real life stuff. So
yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening. That's all I've got. Do you want to do the end of video challenge?
End of video is going to be the same as every Friday video. What is your lock of the weekend? I think my lock is the Iowa under, and it'll stay like that unless I find a even better lock for whatever weekend.
Yeah. My lock is going to be, it's Michigan State. Michigan State whoops up on Minnesota. I just got a feeling. I might look like an idiot. I can't wait to talk about it on Monday. So we'll see. And hopefully Oklahoma handles their business as they should. Oklahoma should win by 21 plus. I don't see this game being close. I think they take care of their business. You've made it this far, hit the like button, turn the notification bell, do the any video challenge. Let us know who your lock of the week is. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Apple and Spotify. Everything's in the description below. And remember, liking the video and commenting on the video helps us out tremendously. It's all free. We really appreciate it. And be sure to join us tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for a pregame show. And we'll be talking OU, we'll be talking general college football, and we'll just be hanging out for about an hour or so. So be sure to turn the notification bell, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning.